afternoon, everyone. It's my privilege as the founding dean of the Oakland University William Beaumont School of Medicine, we'll refer to it as OUWB this afternoon, to welcome you to our second commencement. I'm grateful to each of you for coming to this very special event in the lives of our graduates, the class of 2016. At this time, I wish to extend special appreciation to the Oakland University Wind Symphony at the back, directed by Professor Gregory Cunningham. I also extend appreciation to Carver Fay, whom you will hear in a short while, pipes and drums. We're grateful to the Deaf Community Advocacy Network for assisting us this afternoon in interpreting today's ceremony in American Sign Language. At this time, I would like to recognize that the ceremony will be led by School Marshal Dr. Robert Neuve, Associate Dean for Medical Education. Dr. Neuve will escort the platform party to the dais. Now, let us open this commencement. Professor Cunningham. Please welcome the platform party for today's ceremony, introducing the Assistant and Associate Deans of the School of Medicine, Richard Kelly, Senior Director of Development, Cheryl Verbruggen, Vice Dean for Business and Administration, Dr. David Thomas, Assistant Dean for Medical Education, Brooke Taylor, Assistant Dean for Continuing Medical Education, Deidre Pitts, Assistant Dean for Faculty Affairs and Faculty Development, Dr. Dawn Jung, Assistant Dean for Diversity and Inclusion, Dr. Robert Granadier, Assistant Dean for Diversity and Inclusion, Dr. Nelia Afonso, Assistant Dean for Community Integration and Outreach, Dr. Jeffrey DeVries, Associate Dean for Graduate Medical Education, Dr. Linda Gillum, Associate Dean for Academic and Faculty Affairs, Dr. Richard Kennedy, Associate Dean for Research, Dr. Robert McCauley, Associate Dean for Institutional Effectiveness and Technology, Dr. Linda Misra, Associate Dean for Undergraduate Clinical Education, Dr. Angela Nuzzarello, Associate Dean for Student Affairs. I also extend at this time a warm welcome to my colleagues, the Oakland University Deans, who join me today on the platform. From the Oakland University Libraries, OUWB Library Director Nancy Bulgarelli, representing Library Dean Stephen Whiter. From the College of Arts and Sciences, Dean Kevin Corcoran. From the Honors College, Dean Graham Harper. From the School of Nursing, Interim Associate Dean Dina Hayes, representing Interim Dean Gary Moore. And now I welcome Oakland University's Vice Presidents. Vice President for Community and Government Affairs, Rochelle Black. Vice President for Student Affairs, Glenn McIntosh. Vice President for Development and Alumni Relations, Angie Schmucker. And Vice President for University Communications and Marketing, John Young. I welcome Oakland University's academic officers, Associate Provost Dr. Michelle Piskalich, Senior Associate Provost Dr. Susan Aubrey, Senior Vice President for Academic Affairs and Provost Dr. James Lentini. I extend a special welcome to Oakland University Board Trustee Richard Flynn. Representing Beaumont Health, the exclusive teaching partner of OUWB, is Dr. David Wood, its Chief Medical Officer. And now I welcome members of the platform party who will be participating in this afternoon's ceremony. Keynote speaker, the Honorable Dr. Deidre Waterman, Mayor of the City of Pontiac, Michigan. Oakland University Board Trustee Chair Mark Schlessel, and Oakland University President Dr. George W. Hind. I now welcome our department chairs, led by School Marshal Dr. Sandra LeBlance, Assistant Dean for Student Affairs and Career Development. Department of Anesthesiology, Dr. James Grant, Chair. Department of Biomedical Sciences, Dr. Judith Venuti, Chair. Department of Cardiology, Dr. Monica Jadu, representing Dr. Simon Dixon, Chair. Department of Emergency Medicine, Dr. James Ziada, representing Dr. Terry Kolenko, Chair. Department of Family Medicine and Community Health, Dr. Paul Mish, Chair. Department of Internal Medicine, Dr. Michael Maddens, Chair. Department of Neurology, Dr. Daniel Mankus, Chair. Department of Neurosurgery, Dr. Miguel Angelo Perez Cruet, representing Dr. Fernando Diaz, Chair. Department of Obstetrics and Gynecology, Dr. Ray Bahado Singh, Chair. Department of Ophthalmology, Dr. George Williams, Chair. Department of Orthopedic Surgery, Dr. David Collin, representing Dr. Jeffrey Fishgrun, Chair. Department of Pathology, Dr. Matul Amin, Interim Chair. Department of Pediatrics, Dr. Brian Berman, Chair. Department of Physical Medicine and Rehabilitation, Dr. Justin Riuta, representing Dr. Ronald Taylor, Chair. Department of Psychiatry, Dr. Ron Samarian, Chair. Department of Radiation Oncology, Dr. Thomas Guerrero, representing Dr. Craig Stevens, Chair. Department of Diagnostic Radiology and Molecular Imaging, Dr. Dwayne Meswa, Chair. Department of Surgery, Dr. Alan Coffrin, Chair. And Department of Urology, Dr. Kenneth Peters, Chair. I now extend a welcome to the faculty of the Oakland University William Beaumont School of Medicine. At this time, I invite everyone who is able to rise and welcome the members of the class of 2016, led by School Marshal Dr. Christina Grabowski, Assistant Dean for Medical Student Admissions and Financial Services. The class will enter by their PRISM groups, led by their PRISM mentors. Please remain standing for our national anthem. Please be seated. It is my honor to recognize the presence of dignitaries and people who lend a special presence to this afternoon's ceremony. I'd like to recognize Beaumont Board Health member Dr. Harris Mainster, City Manager of Auburn Hills, Tom Tangy, the Mayor's Office Representative of Rochester Hills, Maria Willett. I'd also like to welcome some of our community partners from the Michigan Opera Theater, Roz Cooperman, from the Polio Network, Timothy Brown, Bonnie Levitan, Bruce and Diane Sachs, and from the Chandler Park Academy, Kevin Wise. Welcome. The Oakland University William Beaumont School of Medicine is a community, and members of the entire student body accompany this year's graduates today. Will the class of 2019 rise and remain standing? Will the members of the class of 2018 and 2017 rise and remain standing? And for the very first time in the history of our school, will our alumni rise and remain standing? And please greet them all. Thank you. You may be seated. It is my privilege now to introduce the chair of the Oakland University Board of Trustees, Mark Schlussel.
Thank you very much, Dr. Folberg. Good afternoon, everybody. It's a delight to be here. I'm pleased to be part of this commencement ceremony for a number of reasons, among them being the great pride I have in being part of Oakland University and our community, as well as my interest in healthcare delivery here in Michigan and across the country. In the time I've served as a principal in a healthcare management company, I've come to be astounded to see the changes overtaking the field, many encouraging and some not so encouraging. Research and technology advancements, for example, are providing more hope of effective diagnosis and treatment of injury and disease than ever. At the same time, healthcare business models and regulatory influences seem to be shaping patients more as commodities than as human beings. No, as graduates of Oakland University William Beaumont School of Medicine, you are entering a professional arena that is undergoing dramatic transformation in many ways. Regardless of your intentions and goals, you'll become part of that transformation. With the decisions you'll be called upon to make, you have the potential to help change the field for better or not. To quote Hippocrates, wherever the art of medicine is loved, there is love of humanity. You will bear witness to rapid advances in medical technology, as well as corporate and political forces jockeying to govern the way healthcare providers deliver essential services to patients in need of care. Rest assured that none of these forces will abate anytime soon, as can be seen in one simple example, the persistently swirling debate around the Affordable Care Act. Please don't misunderstand. As I'm trying to relate here, I believe that the overarching efforts to improve healthcare in this country, whether they be technological, political, or other, are being made with our best of intentions. I also believe that the realm of unintended consequences, some of these efforts are threatening to compromise what has always been the greatest asset we have in the field of medicine, namely the expert and interpersonal interaction between doctors and their patients. Many of us have found that we are spending more time in doctors' waiting room these days, only to ultimately spend less time in examining rooms, benefiting from our physicians' expertise, insight, and assessment skills. I have to digress for a minute to tell you that that is not the case with Dr. Sandra Scheuchert, whom I visit quite often. And that's not the case with many of the Beaumont doctors. But I believe it is a reality in healthcare today. Physicians are being pressured to see more patients with less time. I believe we need to reverse this devolving standard of care, and I can explain why with an aphorism that my chief medical officer has shared with me on numerous occasions. In short, he always argues and says to me that a history and physical exam represents 90% of an effective diagnosis on a presenting condition. There is no advanced technology that can serve as a substitute in this process, and we can only hope that healthcare policy and practice begin to place higher priority and value in the physicians who oversee it. I encourage and challenge all of you as new physicians to remember that unique individual human needs and the human side of healthcare services must be preeminent in the healthcare arena of the future. Each of you is extremely fortunate to have studied in a program here developed by Dr. Folberg and his associates. The fact is that every patient is a human being deserving of the best medical care available has been integrated into everything you've learned. Compassion has been infused into your DNA. Remember to always value that, using your courage and conviction to contest any force looking to marginalize the value of what you offer as a superbly educated physician with an empathetic human being. As William Osler, the founder of modern medicine and one of the 4 founders of Johns Hopkins Hospital, said, paraphrasing the great ancient physician Maimonides, the good physician treats the disease, the great physician treats the patient with the disease. Do this, and I know that you will find success beyond your dreams. I wish all of you the best in your future endeavors and hope you remember and remain engaged in this community as you experience the great success you are sure to achieve. Thank you and good luck. It is now my privilege to call upon the president of our university, George Hind, to greet you.
Thank you very much, Chairman Schlessel. Good afternoon. It is my great honor to take part in this commencement ceremony, and that is because of the exceptional company I share here today in this arena. Each one of those graduating today has become part of the most well-educated members of our society. You have stepped far beyond anyone's expectations. You are risk takers and have demonstrated tremendous resolve in the pursuit of your goals. The entire Oakland University community and I are privileged to be here among you today. You are to be commended for your courage and your commitment. In coming to this medical school, you embraced an innovative academic vision that calls for a fundamental change in the way that we deliver healthcare. You have stepped forward to become pioneers in an evolution of healthcare services that is only now beginning to take root in our society. It is an approach that holds medical care recipients as complete human beings rather than reiterations of textbook cases and variations on medical precedents. I applaud you for embracing this focus, as this type of care is desperately needed in our healthcare systems today. I also applaud you for agreeing to do far more than simply be medical students. You have joined and contributed to national healthcare organizations and medical student interest groups, and the work you have done will benefit all the students who follow in your footsteps. In short, you have been exceptional role models. Commendably, you have also set a high bar for the academic performance of all future Oakland University William Beaumont School of Medicine students. With your time here nearly behind you, you will soon join a global community of essential service providers who play a critical role in the well-being of mankind. You will help protect and revitalize the health of scientists, engineers, artists, builders, service providers, and so many more of our citizens. In this way, you will help advance the quality of life that people enjoy not only in terms of their health, but also in terms of all that our modern culture offers to them. I'm confident that I speak on behalf of the entire Oakland University community today and share that we are all proud of you and what you have accomplished. We look forward to learning about the tremendous things that you will undoubtedly accomplish in the years to come. I hope that each of you is truly proud of what you have achieved here. Embrace that feeling, celebrate it, and I hope you have a little bit of time to reflect on that feeling today. Take a deep breath and savor this moment. Soak in the joy and pride of those closest to you and those that surround you here today as well. This truly is your day. Rest assured that virtually limitless potential stands before you, and we support you pursuing your goals. As students of the Oakland University William Beaumont School of Medicine, you have had the privilege of interacting with some of the most accomplished and respected physicians and scholars to be found. You have mastered an incredibly rigorous curriculum and are now prepared to accomplish some of the greatest goals you can possibly imagine. Congratulations. I wish you unbounded success in the realization of all of your goals and dreams. Congratulations.
It is my privilege now to introduce our commencement speaker, Dr. Deidre Waterman. Dr. Waterman is the first African-American female ophthalmologist in the state of Michigan. She has operated her practice in Pontiac for 30 years. She was elected mayor of the city of Pontiac, Michigan in 2013, becoming the first woman to ever be elected to that position. Under her leadership, she is revitalizing the city of Pontiac with a focus on strengthening partnership opportunities in education, including those opportunities with Oakland University and with OUWB, our medical school. She is a supportive community partner and a true friend of OUWB. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Deidre Waterman.
Good afternoon, and thank you for that kind introduction, Dr. Folberg. It's an honor and a thrill to greet you, graduates, and I thank you for this opportunity, and I also honor those who have come to support you. Thank you, Dean Folberg, President Hind, Mr. Schlussel, the members of the faculty, friends, relatives, and all those who have come to support our graduates, the esteemed class of 2016. I can relate as I look out over your faces and see your excitement, graduates, who I am now pleased to address as colleagues. It is a special thrill to see the excitement of the moms and dads and relatives and grandmoms and sisters and brothers and all those who have been the wind beneath your wings and have been your infrastructure of support and encouragement, and who have believed in you and helped you and lifted you up and encouraged you when you needed that. Some of them have sacrificed for you to obtain your dream of being a doctor, and most of all, as evidenced here today, they are extremely proud of you, as we all are. And we must also mention the role that your teachers and faculty have played in your education. They are a distinguished faculty, handpicked to be well-versed in the distinct curriculum that has been devised to fit the unique teaching philosophy that characterizes this School of Medicine. As I have talked to them and convened with them for this graduation today, The pride they feel in you is palpable. And in you, they have entrusted their hopes and confidence that you will take what you have learned here to not only heal your patients, but also to affect their lives and their communities in other ways that contribute to their well-being. And of course, the leader of them is Dean Folberg. He has kept the faith with your dream during your tenure with him, and he has been true to the vision of creating doctors who know the research and science of medicine as well as the art of medicine. I remember when I was in medical school some years ago, I won't count back how many, I can't do the math that quick, but I remember I had a professor who told me the art of medicine was the skill of entertaining the patient while giving nature time to take care of the disease. Well, science has gone along quite a way since then, and you will lend your skills to the betterment of your communities and your patients. And all this support was necessary in your quest, for hardly any of us can make that long trek and accomplish such an arduous task without the help of someone to urge us on. So while recognizing that your diplomas belong to you, graduates, the victory also belongs, in essence, to all of those relatives, friends, and well-wishers out there. And for that, I salute all of you as well. As you embark upon your careers, you will be well-equipped and well-trained to take on the challenges and complexities of modern medicine in a modern world. Since I finished medical school, the world has shrunk. The internet is here. Social networking allows us to reach out globally at the push of a key. The communities in which you choose to serve, and the practice of medicine is a service as well as a duty and an obligation and an honor, are more likely now to be culturally diverse. And such concerns as healthcare disparities and cultural sensitivity will be part of your lexicon. The uniqueness of your training will give you the platform with which to navigate those areas. For it is Oakland University William Beaumont School of Medicine. It is their approach to teaching that extends beyond the laboratory and equips you to become not just skilled scientists, but also the well-versed, ethical, and compassionate class of graduates that you are. The commitment here to integrated learning, as well as the mentoring and responsible professional growth, are very special attributes of the Oakland University William Beaumont School of Medicine. Last year was the inaugural graduation, and that was an occasion for great recognition. As the second graduating class, you are repeating that success pattern and establishing that this is a sustainable model of medical education. And as you move on to your various residencies, training programs, and other opportunities that will present themselves to you, I have every confidence, your professors have every confidence, Dean Folberg has every confidence, that you will prove that the model works beyond a doubt. And you will establish the claim of your program as its notable products. As an ophthalmologist myself, a specialty designation that I share with Dean Folberg, as you've learned from my introduction, I have taken a leave from my profession in order to take on this challenge of being a mayor of the historical and proudly resurgent city of Pontiac. I must admit that I envy you a little bit today, as I've had to pack away my ophthalmologist and ophthalmoscopes and tonometers. I've realized that, even though I'm a political position, I still consider myself an ophthalmologist at heart. And candidly, I think I always will, no matter how many campaign speeches I give, or how many potholes I fill, or how many municipal budgets that I have to prepare. So I'm living a little vicariously through you today as you graduate, and as I witness your enthusiasm and your bright anticipation as you launch into careers after a laborious and trying journey. I miss my patients, many of whom I have followed for years, and sometimes their family members, including several generations. You will find, too, that you will develop that bond with the people whose lives you affect so intimately, and who respect and depend upon your abilities as physicians. I do admit that associations and references to my medical career have creeped into my campaign and my way of symbolizing my role as mayor. For instance, the campaign slogan, which seemed to capture the interest of voters, was the one that I proclaimed that I was the candidate with a clearer vision for the city, I guess the voters bought it because they elected me. Oftentimes, such as at campaign debates and in interviews, I would equate the financial crisis the city was facing with a patient that was hemorrhaging on the surgical table, and we would lose the patient if we did not exert leadership in the emergency. Except in Pontiac's case, the patient was the city's economic survival, and we were hemorrhaging capital instead of real blood. One of the things that I knew intrinsically as a physician was that in order to heal the municipality, I also had to heal the psyche of a population that had been demeaned and demoralized for 8 long years of political strife and uncertainty. After being elected and taking office in January of 2014, 2.5 years ago, how time flies when you're having fun, the city has emerged from financial crisis to financial stability with a hefty fiscal surplus to bolster our resurgence as we also revitalize and diversify our economy and restore and establish new partnerships, such as the one that Pontiac has established with Oakland University, which now in its 2nd year, under the capable and visionary administration of Oakland University President George Time, has helped to foster a partnership, town and gown relationship that has grown to now 32 different initiatives of mutual support and interest. I am happy to continue that mutual support and interest and those obligations to fulfill that aim that we started out with. And I'm also happy to look back as it relates to how this relates to you graduates at Oakland University Medical School. As mayor of the city of Pontiac, I can bear witness to the many ways that the city has benefited from your curriculum requirement, that you gain professional development by experience outside of medicine. I can cite many instances of how you have used that requirement, let me say that mission, in ways that have informed, enriched, engaged the citizens of the city. Examples are the health clinics and health fairs that you have participated in, the capstone projects that you have completed, the many students that you have interacted with in their classrooms. All those endeavors have committed and contributed to the health and well-being of the community of Pontiac in very real ways. And I thank you and salute you for that. Both you and the many faculty and staff who have mentored and supported those activities. Let it be recognized that your training to engage your professional expertise and compassion, even outside the laboratory, the surgical suite, and the physician's office, profoundly affect the communities you inhabit and conversely the world around you. There is a saying from the Talmud, "He who saves the life of one child saves the world in time." So I likewise challenge you graduates. You may not take the precipitous journey that I took in terms of going into the political arena, but whatever path you may be led toward, be assured that you have the power to affect the world around you by the ripple effect of the lives you heal, the lives you change and inspire. As your professors and families and all those around you launch you off into the next phase of your careers, I send that salvo to you, that you be the change that you desire to see around you. In your hand lies the future. How's that for a challenge as you head off into your careers? I congratulate you, and I thank you for the opportunity to salute you and to wish you success and fulfillment in your careers. Congratulations.
Dr. Waterman, thank you for sharing your insights and for inspiring us. And I want to give special appreciation to my colleague, Dr. Neuva, for helping me with my regalia this afternoon. It's yet another reason to explain why I never pursued the surgical disciplines. At this time, it's a privilege for me to invite to the podium Dr. Angela Nuzzarello, Associate Dean for Student Affairs, to preside over the presentation of diplomas and the ceremonial hooding of our graduates. Dr. Nuzzarello.
Class of 2016, I'm so honored to be standing before you today. You have accomplished so much. You have mastered a challenging curriculum, crushed your board exams, and secured solid residency programs. Oh, and you have reflected on all of that too. But that's really only a small part of what you've done. You have donated your time to community service, you've supported each other, and you've guided those who have come after you. Your energy and your dedication to making OUWB even better will remain with OUWB forever, and for that we are so thankful. I would like to now ask President Hein to begin the conferral of the degrees.
Upon the nomination of the faculty of Oakland University and by the authority of the state of Michigan, vested in the Board of Trustees and delegated to me, I hereby confer upon you the degree Doctor of Medicine. I now invite Dr. Nuzzarello to return to the podium.
I would like to now ask Dr. Anil Goyal and his group to please approach the stage. I also invite to the stage Dr. Linda Misra, Associate Dean for Undergraduate Clinical Education and Associate Professor of Internal Medicine and Neurology. Dr. Misra will be assisting all of the PRISM mentors with the hooding today. While the group is making their way up here, I thought I would take a moment and explain why we have physician mentors assisting the students with their hoods. These physicians have played an important role in mentoring and supporting their group of students over the past 4 years. The mentors helped the students don their first white coat. They read their monthly reflections, and they met one-on-one with the students. They listened to the students as they expressed concerns and frustrations, and they celebrated all of their successes. On behalf of all of the students, we would like to thank our physician mentors for all they have done for the class of 2016. As the names of our graduates are called for their diplomas and ceremonial hooding, please hold your applause until the last student has received her diploma. At that time, we will recognize all of the students. Dr. Lisa Akiyama. Dr. James Andrew David. Dr. Aditi Gupta. Dr. Benjamin Kipper. Dr. Stuart Kipper, Benjamin's father, is assisting with the hooding. Dr. Julie Lee. Dr. Amanda Rose Mann. Dr. Satyam Parikh. Dr. Manisha Parikh, Sati's mother, is assisting with the hooding. Dr. Dave Reddy. Dr. Bami Reddy, Dave's father, is assisting with the hooding. Dr. Kurolis Shanuda. Dr. Eric Robert Sweet. Dr. Travis Washington. Dr. Alyssa Catherine Zurinsky. We now welcome Dr. Marlene Seltzer and her PRISM group to the stage. Dr. Amir Al-Hadidi. Dr. Gabriel Dominguez Pantoya. Dr. Victor Dominguez, Gabriel's father, is assisting with the hooding. Dr. Rachel Hankey. Dr. Leah Hong. Dr. Andrew Sunkyo Koo. Dr. Amy Leader. Dr. Sean Lee. Dr. Victoria Ann Mason. Dr. James A. Payne, Jr. Dr. Danielle Patricia Rush. Dr. Laura Steinkraus. Dr. Lawrence W. Steinkraus, Laura's father, is assisting with her hooding. Dr. Omar Yaldo. We welcome Dr. Alan Silverman and his PRISM group to the stage. Dr. Samir Berry. Dr. Ravi Berry, Samir's father, is assisting with the hooding. Dr. Ray Borda. Dr. Alessandra Buford. Dr. Timothy Buford, Alessandra's father, is assisting with her hooding. Dr. Alexander Harris. Dr. Jane Young Huang. Dr. Nisarg Mehta. Dr. Scott Pugh. Dr. Sunita Saith. Dr. Marguerite and Dr. Sharma Saith, Sunita's parents, are assisting with the hooding. Dr. Kelsey Setkoviak. Dr. Christine Shams. Dr. Negi Shams and Dr. Nadia Tanyus, Christine's parents, are assisting with the hooding. Dr. Charlie Stevens. Dr. Ashley Woodfin. Dr. Raymond Yishang Yao. We now welcome Dr. Brett Todd and his PRISM group to the stage. Dr. Jared Brome. Dr. Stephanie Campbell. Dr. Fatima Faz. Dr. Adam Faz, Fatima's brother, is assisting with her hooding. Dr. Grenville Fernandez. Dr. Jonathan Andrew Hartshorn. Dr. Anya Karpov. Dr. Stephanie Kate Langer. Dr. Robert Langer, Stephanie's father, is assisting with her hooding. Dr. Gerta Main. Dr. Adewunmi Nuga. Dr. Todd Pushanchi. Dr. Verity Ramirez. Dr. John Silva. Dr. Jeffrey Stusick. Dr. Joseph Versaloni. Dr. Catherine Zanuck McLean. We welcome Dr. Michelle Vogel and her PRISM group to the stage. Dr. Gabriella Gandini Wagner. Dr. Nilay Gandhi. Dr. Renu Gandhi, mother of Nilay, is assisting with the hooding. Dr. Preston Kerr. Dr. Samantha Kramer. Dr. Anthony Kraus. Dr. Justin Laporte. Dr. Caitlin Gaffney Liroff. Dr. Stephen Liroff, Caitlin's father, is assisting with her hooding. Dr. Danny Mammo. Dr. Nicole McCaffrey. Dr. Tori Nault. Dr. Woodrow Sams. Dr. Justin Smith. Dr. Edward Sutherland. Dr. Kimberly Ellis Waite. This concludes the diploma ceremony. Please help me in congratulating all of our 2016 graduates. I now have the pleasure of introducing our student speaker. He was chosen by his classmates to present remarks during today's ceremony. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Woodrow Sams.
Well, good afternoon, everybody. Before I get started, I just wanted to thank everybody here from OU, OUWB, and all the Beaumont physicians that were able to come out today and celebrate with us. And thank you to the family and friends for being here today one more time to support us. Also, thank you, Dr. Waterman, for speaking today. Thank you, President Hine, for coming out to support the medical school. And Dean Fulberg, without your vision and your leadership, none of this would have been possible. Thank you very much. Also, thank you to my classmates for selecting me to speak to you here again today, all together one last time. Really, I could spend the rest of the afternoon thanking and acknowledging the countless number of people who made this day a reality. But it's a sunny day and there's potato salad at the dean's reception, so we kind of have to keep things moving. But as I look around the arena and try to decide which of you would be difficult to intubate based on your Malin patty, I can't help but think how far we've come over the last 4 years. The majority of us started out with a pretty superficial understanding of medicine and its philosophy, but through tens of thousands of hours spent reading, memorizing, and putting our new skills into practice, we've developed our own approach to doctoring. We've grown into our white coat, and I'd like to take this opportunity to talk about some of the things we'll need to take with us as we leave our OUWB family and move on to the next chapter of our training. And the first thing is remember to be humble. For me, the first lesson I learned in medical school was that of humility. You're no longer a big fish in a little pond when you begin doctoring school. I had suddenly become a much less extraordinary, much less interesting fish, surrounded by younger, more intelligent fish that had already accomplished more in their adolescence than I thought possible in a lifetime. The achievements of my peers is astounding, and to this day, every time I talk to one of them, I learn about some new clinic they're volunteering at, a paper they published, or a nationwide organization that they're heading up. They're absolutely incredible people, and being compared to them daily is exhausting. This lesson in humility continues in the classroom, where we drink from the figurative fire hose of knowledge for the first 2 years. When I first heard this metaphor, I thought it was ridiculous, and the images it evoked were degrading to anyone who had earned one of the coveted medical school spots. But I can tell you now, from firsthand experience, anyone who drinks from a fire hose probably still looks better than I did after one of our biochem lectures. Then just about the time you think you've figured everything out, you start third year, and the lessons in humility start all over again. They're not always in the way learners are accustomed to, though. In the hospital, humility often comes in quieter, more profound lessons, like when a patient weeps in front of you for the first time or begs you to help them. And they did this because they trusted us. Absolutely and optimistically, they trusted us. And this is an utterly awesome and sobering experience to be given all-inclusive access into a stranger's life. Remember these moments, remember to ask questions when you aren't sure, and remember when someone gives you the answer to listen. As we leave here today, we'll be doctors, but we'll still be apprentices of medicine. My father-in-law has been a family practice physician for about 40 years now, and I can say with 100% certainty that I'll never know as much as he does. He remembers things he learned before I was born better than I remember things I learned this morning. Remember that when you do a consult and listen. And the family that you're speaking to knows their grandfather better than you could ever hope to. And remember that and listen. And even if the nurse you're working with started on June 30th, they still have more experience than we do. So please ask before you touch their IV pump. And always, always listen when they tell you that the patient just doesn't look right. Second, remember to be odd. Early last year, I was on my surgical clerkship, and the physician I was working with was scheduled to perform a Whipple, a pancreaticoduodenectomy, if you don't want to be corrected by your senior for using jargon. Amazingly enough, the most difficult part of this procedure is not the pronunciation of its name. It involves removal of the distal segment of the stomach, the first and second portions of the duodenum, the head of the pancreas, the common bile duct, and the gallbladder, all organs that seem super duper important. During this 8-hour surgery, as Dr. Jury expertly, meticulously divided fascia layers and cut away diseased portions of organs, and I adequately, passively held traction, I couldn't help but think about the unbelievable amount of skill and technology that goes into a surgery like this one. Afterwards, as a member of Blue Team sat at Starbucks and ran the list, I thought for sure we'd talk about how awesome the surgery was, but instead we drank our coffee, talked about the next day's assignments, and went our separate ways. I would have brought it up myself, but I've been up since 4 that morning and spent the last 8 hours wrangling organs, so I let it go. A few months later, while Todd and I were on obstetrics together, even though we never openly talked about the miracle of birth, I saw him cry every time he delivered a baby. And most recently, as I held the probe to a man's chest and we stared at his heart pulsating on the ultrasound screen, he said, "Wow, that's pretty cool." And I paused and thought, that's actually pretty cool. It's so easy day after day to forget how incredible and meaningful it is to be a physician. We have the ability to peer inside the body to places unseen and unknown by most, but we do it so often that it becomes routine, even mundane to us. Remember our first year cadaver lab, and remember the first time you took a scalpel to human flesh. Remember the first time you saw a patient start to get better after something you had done, and take the time to be awestruck every now and again. Next, remember to be brave. And this next story may or may not require an ethical intermission, but Dr. Nuzarello has guaranteed me immunity, and my diploma has already been printed. So besides Dr. Steck and Dean Fulberg, does anyone in the room know what an auger brush is? Sometimes they call it a corneal burr. So let's say you're unlucky enough to have a tiny metal shaving fly into your eye. Well, there's a chance that this metallic foreign body could leave a rust ring even after it's been removed. And if you're unluckier, you could have this rust ring removed by a medical student wielding a tool called an auger brush, which is essentially a Dremel designed specifically for removing these rust rings. It's basically a tiny eyeball sander. Or at least that's how I describe it to people who I'm not trying to convince I'd be allowed to use it on their eye. So a resident and I had just such a patient present to us one morning. And after we explained what had caused the imperfection, what we could do to fix it, and made sure it was okay that I personally do the procedure, we found ourselves in a quiet, dimly lit room at the end of the ophthalmology floor. The patient and I, separated only by the slit lamp used for magnification, sat inches away from each other, staring directly into one another's souls. As I inched the whirring auger brush closer and closer to the patient's sclera, both our eyes growing wider and wider, he said nervously, "You've done this before, right?" And I said calmly, "Try to hold still, sir." And a half a second later, the rust ring was gone, and 3 collective sighs of relief could be heard throughout the halls of the medical office building. Now, some would argue that the real hero of this story, the truly courageous one, was the patient. But today isn't about him. Another example of bravery, a less dramatic one, is the story of 75 people coming in day after day after day to a place where they know they're probably in over their heads, a place where they'll probably fail at something before lunchtime, a place where their physical and mental limits are strained and pushed beyond what they thought possible. But I would argue that this type of bravery, this resolute determination of spirit, is much more profound and much more difficult to come by than the finite courage of a single occasion. And simply by being here today is evidence that each of you possesses this relentless capacity for bravery in the face of adversity. Each of us will struggle in the upcoming years, probably much sooner than we think, and I want you to remember the grit and the determination that you've displayed over the last 4 years. When the days seem long and the load seems heavy, remember the bravery and the tenacity that each of you possesses. Lastly, remember to be thankful. Despite the hard work, long hours, and sacrifices each of us has made to get here today, none of us got here alone. And you don't have to look very far to find the people who've helped us along the way. They're in the stands that surround us. They're in the seats behind you, beside you, and they're here on this stage. There are mothers and our fathers, our husbands and our wives, our siblings and our children. There are lecturers and advisors, every single person in the Student Affairs Office, and the physicians and residents who supported us and mentored us. Without these people in our lives believing in us, cheering us on, and picking us up when we fall, none of us would be here today. I don't have any stories for this section, just infinite and insufficient gratitude. Thank you. Thank you for everything. Thank you for your trust, thank you for your confidence, and thank you for the sacrifices you made for us to be here today. Thank you for putting up with us when we were tired and stressed out. Thank you for everything you took care of so that we wouldn't have to, especially when we didn't notice. And thank you for telling us that everything would be okay. You were right, by the way. Everything turned out just the way that you said it would. Thank you. Congratulations, OUWB, class of 2016. We made it.
That is a hard act to follow. Our next speaker on the stage Our next speaker, was on this stage 1 year ago as a member of our charter class. Today, she is a resident physician at Beaumont Health in the Department of Obstetrics and Gynecology, and I am pleased to welcome to the podium Dr. Melissa Basie, who is representing the OUWB Alumni Association. Dr. Basie.
As a proud alumna of the inaugural class of the Oakland University William Beaumont School of Medicine, it is with great pleasure that I welcome the class of 2016 to the OUWB Alumni Association. Doctors, congratulations. We welcome you to our OUWB alumni family.
Thank you, Dr. Basie, and congratulations, Dr. Basie. I should make mention of the fact that Dr. Basie is getting married tomorrow. Well, mention's been made in this proceeding before about my career as an ophthalmologist, and you know, I spent most of my life as a pathologist. And I want to go back to my years in training in pathology. I trained in an inner-city hospital in Philadelphia. Now, all first-year graduates, all PGY1s, are trained in basic life support. And often, I would find myself close to the scene of a code, a cardiac arrest, and whenever I went into the room, I'd be greeted with skepticism by the nurses who would say, "Wait, you're a pathology resident. Isn't this a conflict of interest for you?" I learned to get over it. What I want to relate to you this afternoon was one night when I was walking back to the pathology laboratory and the overhead alert system indicated that a patient was experiencing a cardiac arrest, an event known as a code, and I found myself just outside of the patient's room. So I stepped into the room and I began working with the nurses. The code team, the specialty team, arrived a few minutes later, and I was really relieved to see that the team leader that night was the physician recognized by everyone in the hospital as our smartest resident, our brightest resident. And naturally, I stepped aside and I allowed the code team to take over. I stayed in the back of the room because I really wanted to see what would transpire. Now, at first, the patient responded well. But suddenly, the monitors to which the patient was connected by a sea of wires indicated a life-threatening abnormality. And a debate erupted among the members of the code team, which drug to use next. And as the tension in the room grew with the arguments for one therapy, the arguments for another therapy, that brightest resident in the hospital withdrew herself from the debate. She approached the patient's bedside, and she gently lifted the sheets, and she covered his naked, shivering body. And in that moment, this scientifically brilliant resident physician taught everyone that although science could save a patient's life, only an act of kindness could preserve his dignity and his humanity. At OUWB, we ask you to answer two questions. What do I want to do? And who do I want to be? You have spent 4 years here beginning to learn the science of medicine and mastering its technology. And during your residency years and the years that follow, you'll continue to learn the science of medicine and you'll master even newer volumes of knowledge and technology. As for the second question, who do I want to be? You, the members of the class of 2016, spent 4 years beginning to prepare yourselves to become physicians who understand that there must be, as Mary Fisher taught us last year at commencement, healing beyond science. As members of only the second class to graduate from OUWB, you, the members of the class of 2016, contributed significantly toward building our culture, our distinctive medical school community. You recited the Oath of Geneva fewer than 4 years ago on a very sunny August day at your white coat ceremony, and you pledged then that my colleagues will be my sisters and brothers. We have watched you support each other and to care for each other. Representatives from each of the classes that follow you at OUWB are here today to support you and to celebrate your accomplishments. Over the past 4 years, you as a class have thoughtfully reformulated that oath that you took, the Oath of Geneva, into an affirmation that you will recite shortly. And you changed the words. You changed the words from "my colleagues will be my sisters and brothers" into the following: I will support my colleagues, but I will also hold them accountable to the ideals of the medical profession. Now, the commitment you are about to make as you recite your oath or affirmation is significant because you are promising that you will not separate yourselves from the community of healthcare professionals. But what will you do if the community of healthcare professionals in which you practice separates itself from you? By that I mean acting in ways that are outside the values to which you are about to commit. You can promise to hold them accountable to the ideals of the medical profession, but to do that, you must first always strive to remain committed to those ideals. And if you ever find yourself in a place where there are few people of ideals, strive to remain faithful to your core values, to your ideals. The profession of medicine is a profession of service to patients, but also to their communities. You will hear much in the next few years about population health and the need for health systems and physicians to learn how to care for the communities that they serve. Now, recalling that story about the brightest resident in that hospital back in Philadelphia who taught me and others that evening that science can restore health to a patient, but only an act of kindness, expressions of "who do I want to be" can save a patient's humanity and dignity. Then I challenge you, the members of the class of 2016, and all members of the OUWB community, to extend your knowledge and your compassion to patients and to their entire communities. Our communities need your scientific knowledge, and they also need for you to provide healing beyond science. And just as you are not free to separate yourself from the community of healthcare professionals, you are not free to separate yourselves from the communities in which you will reside and practice medicine. So what will you do if you find yourself in a community whose ideals are not yours? If you find yourself serving a community that does not share your core values, then remember that today, at your OUWB commencement, you publicly committed to respect all patients equally, and you further committed to advocating for a better world. Please, strive always to remain true to your values and engage with your communities. Become engaged just like your commencement speaker, the Honorable Dr. Deidre Waterman. In a few moments, you will, as a class, recite the oath or the affirmation that you wrote, and you'll do it out loud, not silently, because, after all, this isn't a software agreement where you just scroll at the bottom and click agree to get started. You recite this oath individually and collectively as a class. But even as a class, you will not recite this oath or affirmation alone. You will be joined by everyone here who is a physician and who will reaffirm the commitment to the ideals that you have so thoughtfully identified. Please know always how proud we are of your accomplishments and how much we look forward to seeing how you bring healing to those entrusted in your care, and healing to a society and a world desperate for your knowledge and your expressions of humanity. I therefore ask now the class of 2016 to rise. and all physicians who are present to rise to recite this affirmation. Please repeat each verse after me. Because it is my duty to promote and protect the health and well-being of my patients, I make the following promises. I will do no harm and maintain the utmost respect for life. I will respect my patient's autonomy. I will fulfill my duties with courage in the face of emergency, pandemic, and extenuating circumstances. I will respect all patients equally, not permitting considerations of age, disease or disability, creed, ethnic origin, sex, gender identity, nationality, political affiliation, race, social standing, or any other factor to intervene between my duty and my patient. I will be an example for others through my professional interactions and conduct. I will make judicious use of medical resources, but will remember always that my primary duty is to the best possible care of my patients. I will use technology with conscience and prudence. I will advocate for a better world. I will uphold all just systems and practices and strive to change those systems that interfere with my solemn duty to my patients. I will care for myself so that I am best able to care for my patients. I will frankly assess my own limitations and will consult or defer to others when I am not able to provide the best care to my patient. I will pursue lifelong education to provide compassionate, evidence-based care and will be open to new ideas, even if they challenge current practice. I will strive to maintain, improve, and pass on the knowledge, honor, and noble traditions of the medical profession. I will support my colleagues, but also hold them accountable to the ideals of the medical profession. I will continue to honor those who gave me a foundation of knowledge, and I will work to enrich the medical community and its traditions. I make these promises as a lifelong commitment, solemnly, upon my honor and of my own free will. I ask the class of 2016 to remain standing while others are seated. And now I invite the class of 2016 to look to your left and to your right and to express appreciation to those who have helped you along the way. And now, graduates, I ask you to turn towards the rear of the auditorium where the fellow members of your student body, so that they may be the first to congratulate you. And I now offer all of our guests today the opportunity to congratulate our newest physicians, the OUWB class of 2016. The new physicians who have just graduated from this medical school will now prepare for the recessional. When they reach the exterior of this venue, they will be led by Caberfet through the arches of the Elliott Tower, where they will be greeted by you at a reception. They will proceed to the reception area, and we would be especially grateful to everyone for keeping the aisles clear until the platform party and the faculty have exited the hall. We invite everyone to join us across campus for a joyous celebration of this special day, and it is my privilege to declare the class of 2016 commencement of the Oakland University William Beaumont School of Medicine to be complete. Dr. Noiva, Professor Cunningham,